wide angle, always put the subject in the center. Why would you not want to put the subject on the side when you're doing wide angle? Because it makes them look fat. Welcome, welcome, my friends. I'm glad you're here today. I want to talk about something that I haven't seen anyone talk about before, but I think is really valuable and really important for us as coaches, founders, entrepreneurs, podcast hosts, authors, speakers. And that is, how do you interview somebody live who is high authority? Maybe they're celebrity, maybe they're super well known in their industry, and get the most out of that session together. There's a lot of us, we know someone who is well known. They speak at the industry events. They have a best-selling book. They have a lot of clients. We want to be associated with them. But how do we make the most of that moment step by step? And I see a lot of people that are not doing this because they're afraid of public speaking, because they don't know what the steps are to be able to collect the content in the right way. Maybe they don't have a team. Maybe they think they're too busy. Maybe they think it's all about having fancy camera equipment. But my hope is today you'll see what is actually required through my own direct experience just from the last couple of weeks. I'm going to show you step by step. It's not a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to show you me actually implementing this step by step, because I want you to do the same thing with people that you know that are in your circle where you want to be well known because of the association you have with them. How does that sound? Let me know what you think. Like, you can unmute, or yeah, Dan Hewlin knows. We're going to talk about him too, and he can talk about what he thought of the experience and maybe some tips that he has for everyone else in our group here. What do you guys think about that? I think this is huge. I think if you're not co-created content that you then turn into a book and a podcast and other kinds of derivative content, social media snippets, articles, whatever, you're missing out on the most powerful kind of content, the easiest kind of content to create, which then generates every other kind of content. When you create this content, you can make any other kind of content that you want.
Well, I'm going to jump in right now. Hi, Dennis.
Hey.
And I'm biased because I was sitting literally where Dennis is sitting now 2 and 3 days ago. That spot right there, getting the content engine rolling, and it was on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 30. It was killer. So I guess we can get into some specifics later, but I wanted to say hi. And I'm so happy to be here and so glad we've got this going.
I'm grateful for you, Dan. Okay, so watch this. I've never seen anybody do this in a Zoom call or in a presentation ever. And you tell me if it's the same for you. So I'm going to go to my photos, which are pulled from my iPhone automatically uploaded. So you can see here, as Dan said, he was literally sitting here in the studio a couple days ago. You can see this is on Sunday, and here's some videos where they're having some kind of discussion. Here's some behind the scenes. It's being recorded through a fancy camera. So you see this camera here on the right, that's a Sony a7R4 with, I think, a G Master wide angle lens, and it's run through QuickTime and a Rodecaster and ATEM Mini Pro that then gets recorded through QuickTime. It's being filmed on Will's iPhone 14 here, and I'm taking a still from my camera showing how we're capturing these multiple angles, okay? So you can see on the right side here, I took this on June 18th. It's on an Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max, and it's here at our video studio in Henderson. So I'm just capturing behind the scenes. You can see that Will Troop has the DJI wireless mic, the new ones that have come out, which are fantastic. It allows for dual miking. So he and Dan both are wearing these mics, although his mic is behind this other mic, which is one of my favorite podcasting mics. And you'll see we also have an NTG5, which is up above, that runs through the Rodecaster Pro. And there's other sorts of things, such as two 200 or SL 200 watt lights that are above that are lighting both of them. Because it's in the middle of the day, does it say what time it is? 5:46, but it's still super bright here in Vegas. If we didn't have these two lights here, these guys would be washed out and it would look like witness protection program. So a lot of people will look at this and say, okay, this is a difficult technical setup, right? This takes a lot of effort to set up these sorts of things the right way. I'm going to tell you that all of this is unnecessary. You know, all you really need, I'm going to show you what's actually really important. You just need an iPhone and a microphone. That's it. Because the most important part of the video that causes your ads, your books, your blog posts, your whatever content you create to succeed is you on the video. No amount of camera equipment and fancy lighting and professional videographers and professional, website builders and advertising people and whatever, VAs galore, will overcome if you suck on video. I interviewed Ryan McGinn, who does the video editing for Alex Hormozy and Brad Lee and some of these other guys. And I got Ryan on camera saying that the reason why he succeeds and makes a lot of money with his videos that sell like crazy is because his clients know how to speak on video. It's not because of the camera equipment he uses or because he's really good at video editing or running ads. And this is from the guy who has arguably the #1 influencer video agency on the planet. He admitted that to me, and I have it on video of him saying that. So just because you see this with lots of gear, you can see there's a lot of gear here, right? That looks intimidating, doesn't it? Dan, do you know how to use any of this equipment? What do you think when you see all this equipment?
Nope.
And then you see all these TV screens here. You see all these cables and cords. Let's see if I can find one that shows the mess. Look at, actually, that's a video. I don't play that one because it's, let me show the mess of, here we interviewed freaking in the kitchen down here, right? So let's see, what's going on here? There's Dan. You can see that he's got the DJ.
Wearing my socks, very classy, very professional.
And I don't think Will is even wearing any socks. And here, let's see, what equipment are we actually using? Now you can see there's upstairs is the video studio, right? With all the stuff that you just saw. But what is Will doing? He's holding a cell phone and then he's got the wireless mic. That's it. That's all he's got. Do you see that? So we just went from a $20,000 setup to a $300 setup. And I bet you that some of the moments that we captured here, which were kind of candid, will outperform the stuff in the fancy studios. What do you think about that? Like, Dan, what do you think about that shift from things that we filmed in the studio to things where it's just walk and talk, it's just at the kitchen table, that kind of thing?
It was, oh, there I'm at the computer. Yeah, it was just as easy. It was just, we were actually just sitting downstairs in the kitchen and you said, let's just start filming. So we just started talking and filming.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of, look at all these cords down here. Because maybe the sound isn't quite right. Maybe you want a double or triple mic just in case, because, one mic will die or the batteries on one camera will die. But I'm guilty of spending so much time messing around with trying to get everything exactly just right that I end up forgetting about the most important part, which is what? What is it, Dan? What's the most important part?
Speaking and being genuine and being you.
Yeah. Just literally making the video. The best video is the one that you make. And just capturing those stories. And you can see when Dan has his hands pointed akimbo that he's passionate about something. This wasn't a scripted moment. The best moments are not scripted. It doesn't mean you don't have an outline. It doesn't mean you don't have a basic idea of what you want to do. But that's the preparation that's necessary to get the kinds of things that you want. So you can see that we changed the background color to orange because he's wearing a blue shirt, because you want your background lighting to be the opposite color. So I'm wearing red. I would put blue in the background. If I was wearing purple, I would want to put yellow because those are exact opposite color wheel contrast colors, right? But if you put blue on blue, then you don't have the kind of, you ought to have the background be, pop out separately. And I'm using hue lights here in the back. I think there are 9 hue lights. And this allows me from the app to be able to change the lighting color to whatever I want it to be, which is kind of neat. And these are also his brand colors, orange and blue here. You can see that let me show you the blue. You can see what the blue looks like here, right? And I just for fun, I put it on, I think, Twitter or Facebook, and I had people vote, what do you like more? And people were back and forth on whether they like the blue and the orange. I just wanted to see people discuss, because here you have blue on blue. Now, this is someone who, like, no one else is going to notice this sort of thing, but, you know, we do have professional videographers that are in our program, so they'll say, you know what, you shouldn't be wearing that dark of a shirt, or should be wearing a black shirt, or yeah, I know, on TV, that's the deal. But if he said something fantastic while we're at the buffet and the lighting wasn't great, but we're just sitting there while we're eating, you know, barbecue ribs or whatever it is, then it doesn't matter, right? So here he's wearing that blue shirt. This was right before we filmed. I think we filmed until 3 a.m. Let's go back just to see like what the timing on some of these videos are. I think when we finally stopped for the evening, the sun was coming up.
It did. We shot until like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Let's see this one, just to show you that I'm not making this up. This was shot at what time? 3:44 a.m. See that? So the whole thing, like, well, I'm tired and I'll do it tomorrow and whatever. You know what? We did it. We knocked it out. I could have said at 1 a.m., you know what, Dan, I'm feeling tired. Let's start tomorrow. Let's just pick it up. No, but we were in a groove. And when you're in a groove, just do it, you know, keep it flowing. And just prior to that, we had dinner with David Meerman Scott, who has a #1 best-selling book in marketing. And he and I have been buds for a long time, which is crazy that this guy here next to me, who's 150 pounds and the largest shareholder in HubSpot, aside from Brian and Dharmesh, who are the 2 founders, we had dinner with David for like, what, 3 hours? And that was time we were supposed to be filming. We had dinner from what, like 6:30 to 9:30 or something like that. And we were supposed to be filming. So if we had dinner until 9:30 and then we didn't get to the video studio until 10 and then we filmed until 4 a.m. Well, that sounds like, you know, we didn't take good control of our time. Like, we weren't spending our time wisely. But why was it important, Dan, for us to spend time with David?
Well, first of all, David is awesome. And we were just in our groove. We were talking about things that then informed the video that we shot later. And David asked me about my business. We talked about the Grateful Dead. He's a huge Dead fan, as I am. And we got the momentum going, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say to your point, Dennis, is that, you know, I looked and felt really tired, and, you know, I would have preferred to have been a little bit more spruced up in the video, but we were in a groove, so we just went, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't have the hair and makeup guys there. It doesn't matter. Just get the content out. We got a lot out.
Yeah. And we probably got 8 hours of content, which is a ridiculous amount of content. All we really needed was an hour's worth. But I'm going to show you why we got this other kind of content, why we collected it from different angles, and why we have it in multiple scenes instead of just professional video studio, you know, very fancy kind of stuff. So when you have a picture like this with someone who's well known, this conveys authority to your audience that you are also someone of repute. And you hang out with other people that are expert. Therefore, you must be an expert if you hang out with other people that are expert. Notice that we are having dinner at a nice place, and we're not doing it at a conference where we're wearing our badges. So when you take a picture with somebody, even if it's at a conference, even if you're standing in line to take a picture with Tony Robbins or whatever, and he doesn't know who you are, it's just like 100 people standing in line to take a picture, take your badge off. Why?
Because it shows you're hanging with him. It's authority by association.
Yeah, you don't want to look like it's one of those where you're just in line with, you know, all these other random people trying to get a picture. They have no idea who you are. Just like Gary Vaynerchuk's the same kind of thing. He just goes to a conference, and then all these people, you know, whatever, want to take a picture. So when we have these moments, to DM Scott, you probably have seen his latest book, Phenocracy. I always like to like the pinned tweet of anyone who's a friend of mine or a colleague. But if you go back to this one here, when other people tag you, look, I'm wearing a freaking Orange Sky Zone shirt. I'm still sweating coming from the trampoline park, going to this fancy Chinese dinner. It's Mott 32. You should go if you go to Vegas, by the way, if you can get a reservation. And it doesn't matter because it's the moment, and it's in fact, dressing crappy is almost a flex. It's like a billionaire that has an old Ford truck, because it shows that it wasn't a manufactured in the studio, super professional kind of situation, right? It actually contributes to the depth of the relationship that you have. Here, I'll show you what I've done here. I want to see what you guys think. Quiz, okay? Let's go to my profile. You know, these people that are commenting on my stuff. And let's go look at my Facebook. Okay, so I changed my cover profile. I love changing my Facebook cover photo. I feel it's like changing your shirt, right? You don't want to wear the same shirt. Keep your profile picture the same, right? But the cover picture, I think, is a great thing to change like every week or so. A lot of people don't do that. Or maybe they never realized that you could change it. But I change it all the time. Every time I meet someone or I want to highlight a moment, I change my cover photo. And it functions as kind of like a post. And you can see other people that are engaging on this. But what's the difference? Why would I rather, so this is me, why would I rather have this versus where he's sharing it versus me sharing it? What's the difference? The difference is it's way better to have someone else talk about you, right? All day long. And then I'm going to show you some inception. So if I go to David, let's see, I'll put my name, Dennis Yu, David Mearman Scott. So I interviewed him on my podcast, and I got lots of great tips. And he talks about how, you know, he's Tony Robbins' marketing guy and whatnot. And there's all these different video clips, as you would expect in a podcast, because he and I both have fancy studios. His is way fancier than mine. And what I'll do is I'll take, this is not the one I wanted to show, but I'll take a clip from that video or write an article about it, and then I'll use this updated image. So a lot of people don't know that you could mix and match different components. We have this particular moment. We have this moment of us four having dinner, but then we have other clips on my phone or on other people's phones of us, you know, making, oh, this is, I don't want to show you that part. I'll show you that one in a minute. But, you know, in the podcast studio. So you can use other moments that become kind of B-roll to tell a better story. And it's not disingenuous. It's just showing that the relationship wasn't just we met the one time, right? It shows, and that's why sometimes people will change shirts. Sometimes they'll change environments because it increases the perceived depth of the relationship that you have, because it wasn't just one scene. There's many other scenes, right? That's psychologically why you change the background, not because you're trying to have like variety in what you're trying to show. Okay, now notice that here are my Google Photos. These people are sometimes being tagged. So 2 of them are tagged already as me and Will, but this one is not. So this is a weird thing with Google Photos where, like, here it's grabbed everything that it sees as Dan. And we were in Chicago a month ago. Imagine that. See, look. But here we have to then say Dan Ewan. And this is something that your VA can do for you, or if you have an executive assistant or whatnot. Now everything I have has got Dan Ewan in it. I can do this one, click on this photo, and then it'll show up a little thing saying add their name. It is sort of a pain in the butt first time to do it. But now that I've done it, if I've made videos with Perry Marshall, let's say, we were at the conference and we made a quick little 15-second video together, or I made a video about our best-selling book or whatnot. So imagine this. So I'm in the studio, or you're in your studio, and you make a little thing promoting your book or course or your offer, right? You coach people against whatever the thing is, right? And here you talk about,
hey, I got your attention,
blah, 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 right? So I'm doing this. But then if I really want to spice it up, not just to get their attention by showing fake movie money, which is what I'm showing here, I can take any of these other components of me and Perry from over time, even 2017, or even, this one at a Mexican restaurant near his house. So I want to show where his house is, right? Okay, so, but you see how when your content is tagged by the person and location, in this case, you can see all the stuff tagged as Perry Marshall, then you can mix and match it with any other content that you have to create higher authority and show a higher, but like you're closer in terms of the relationship. Do you follow me? So I want you to hold on to that one thought. Now consider this. When you are recording with somebody for a podcast, do not just ask them the most basic sorts of questions. Most of the times when I'm interviewed or I see people doing a podcast, they just ask the most basic sorts of questions every single time. They ask me like, what is $1 a day and how do you get started? Or the worst is they'll say, hey, Dennis, we know all about who you are. You're a well-known guy, but just for the sake of the audience, can you introduce yourself and say who you are? Like, don't ever do that, because that's a lazy out by the interviewer. What you want to do is know who they are and be able to edify them. So if I was interviewing Dan, I would say, guys, today we have Dan Euland of Elite Student Coach, and you want to know what it's like coaching super wealthy celebrity kids, right? These kids where their parents have everything. There's a difference when you coach these families versus some other well-to-do family where the parents want to get the kid into Harvard or something, right? Dan's going to show us how and what the nuances are to building these kinds of relationships. So when I do something like that, and I can say, I've known Dan for years. We've been, coordinating through Mark Lack's group, which you're a part of. And we've been at conferences together and had great meals together. But today we have a special opportunity to talk about what's inside this guy who's an international world traveler, speaks multiple languages, is a magician, I could see by saying all these things, I'm edifying Dan, and I'm not reading a script. When you are the podcast host and you're interviewing that person sitting next to you on Zoom or actually physically with you, you have to edify them. If you don't edify them, then it shows the audience, you know what? He doesn't really know that guy. And the relationship is sort of scripted and it's not really deep and powerful. You want to not just give the appearance that you have some kind of depth of relationship, but you need to have all the other components. So when Perry and I are having dinner, when we're hanging out at his house, and this is ZJ, his adopted son, who has and you can see like Perry is putting on the microphone, we're filming, we're taking, shorts for TikTok. This is for our book. There's all these kinds of fun micro moments and even silly things like this. Actually, not this one. That's not the one. Why is it saying Perry Marshall? Must be this one. Is this it? That's not the one. Why does it think Perry Marshall is in this one? Anyway. Oh, this one. This is the one I wanted to show you. So we have a book.
Guide, 2, TikTok ads.
See, that the Rode mic likes to clip, so that's why I'm. There's one thing I don't want to do with the Rode mic is if the noise is really loud, it clips like that. But do you see? If the videos that perform the best are not because they're shot professionally, it's because they're showing the depth of the relationship you have with that other person. That's what we're trying to go for. It's hard to put your finger on it exactly, but we definitely know when you have many angles with somebody that, here, just go back, that the podcast is more powerful, that it's not just a video. And so let me show you why having multiple angles and multiple scenes is key. All right, so we have Will, who has put together, so Will's interviewing Dan, and we're using this content for the book, for social media snippets, for landing pages, for his website, for all, using the content for all these different kinds of things. And we can see that Will has put together, let's see if we can find it. I don't think I have it on me here. Okay, you can kind of see it here. Will has already put, well, you can't see it on his laptop, but Will's put together a whole outline of bullet points, questions to ask, just like you would if you were interviewing someone on your podcast, right? Of course, you do your preparation. Larry King wrote a whole book about that, right? And then as he's interviewing, you can see he's asking these questions. Now, this one is done kind of off camera. I want you to notice something. And this is something that maybe you have a son or daughter that could do this. Maybe you could do this. I want you to see what this technique is. Now, as they are, I'm going to mute to show you. So we have the main camera that's running. That's the stuff that I haven't even shown you the footage of. But what I'm capturing now is B-roll. And the B-roll is kind of the behind the scenes, showing candid parts, bloopers, showing, zooming all the way back so you can see all the equipment. I'm going to show you why the behind the scenes actually converts better. And I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to show you the different angles. So I'm filming this on my iPhone. Right now I'm doing it landscape. So it's horizontal, okay? Now, as I'm doing this, I have motion. Most people, they just put another camera on a tripod and they just let that sit in a fixed position and record the whole thing, which is fine if you just want to have another shot. But notice what I'm doing here. Now I'm framing it where I'm putting both of them in the thirds. You guys know the rule of thirds, right? If you're showing someone's face, you don't put their face in the middle of the screen. So imagine you take this thing and you divide it into thirds. So you have two lines, right? Left, center, and right. And then I divide the thirds on the bottom, top, middle, and bottom. Where those, it's like a tic-tac-toe. So where those lines intersect in this tic-tac-toe, which makes a box of 9, is where I'm putting the faces. So Will is sort of in a slouchy position, and I didn't want to tilt the camera. But you can see I basically put Dan and Will at the intersections of the lines of the tic-tac-toe. You follow me? And as I'm filming the video, remember, this is a video. Then did you know one of the things on iPhone is as you're filming a video, you can press the white circle and it takes a picture while you're filming the video. Did you know that? Yes, you could go back to the video later and try to grab a still out of it, but I just love taking pictures while I'm doing the video. So I'm moving the camera slowly, no tripod, no gimbal, and I'm literally, the way I'm getting steadiness is two things. One is I take my elbows and I lock them into my sides. So now I become the tripod. Number two, the image stabilization built into the latest iPhone is just fantastic. So just for various technical reasons, which we won't go into, just get the latest iPhone. You'll see a difference, okay? So notice I'm in constant motion. I think, oh yeah, so I'm holding this out with my right hand because it's in front of a TV screen. So oops, I got my arm in there, but that's okay. We can crop that out. And what I'm looking for is key moments where it looks like Dan is saying something, where he's gesturing. So Dan made a post on Facebook where it shows that he's gesturing like this. And by the way, when you gesture in front of a wide angle camera, so this is a wide angle camera. Let me just show you for a second. And I love wide angle cameras because if you sit in the middle, it makes you look skinnier, by the way. On the edge, it stretches you out on the outside. But you can see as I'm moving my hands, I'm generally keeping it in the plane, like within a foot of my face. If I go like this, you will see like how big my hand looks. And it looks like the camera is like from if you're looking at this, how many feet away do you think the camera is from me? 3 or 4? Yeah, I can touch it with my fingertips here. That's what happens with wide angle. And I can actually reach around and hit the record button from here. So let me go back to screen here. By the way, if you don't have all this fancy equipment, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you something that I'm doing straight off of my iPhone. Okay. You see, you see where these stills are coming from, where Dan's doing this and this and this. This is all off of that single video that I was just showing you. So as the video is recording, I'm hitting the white circle to be able to capture those moments. Now that's in landscape, which is horizontal, I'm also capturing things that then I stop, and then I wait till the end of that scene where he says, and then the mom said this or whatever, you know, in that one story. So I can use that video in totality to tell that one story, and then we switches to the next story or the next question. Then I quickly hit stop. I go to vertical, so portrait mode, which is best for social media. And then I do this. Let me show you what I'm doing here. So now he's talking with his hands. There's a Kirkland water bottle. You can see Will has these questions that he's asking. Okay, now the modern iPhone, the new iPhone, well, this current one, 14 and 13, has 3 cameras on it, 0.5, 1, and 3. And I like to use all 3 while I'm filming. You notice, like, as I'm filming, I just pulled back. I went from 3x, or I think I went from 2x. 2x is a blended between the 3 and the 1. 2x is actually simulating the natural eye. 1x is still a wide angle, which is a fisheye, right? 0.5 is like a crazy fisheye. You can see all the way around and everything's distorted, like, you know, the GoPro, basically. So I'm capturing these moments. Now, this is an over-the-shoulder shot like this. This is one of my favorite shots. So here, I'm capturing Dan, who's speaking, and I'm capturing the back of the head of someone else. When I'm capturing an over-the-shoulder shot like this, I like to be in something like 2 or 3x. Why? Because it allows me to zoom into Dan's face, so I can, it makes it seem like the distance is shorter. And I can also get some blur depending on what kind of camera I'm using. So notice, so there I'm taking pictures there. Now I've switched, oops, let me go back. Notice here, I intentionally captured that moment. So here I went from, I think, 1x to 3x. Look at what happens from 1x to 3x. Boom, like that, see? Isn't it cool, like a freeze frame? You always get the most weird facial expressions. Like it's so hard. It's like, why is it that, you know, did I really make that face? Yes, I did. So you see how different it is? So some people say zoom with your feet, which is to be able to get closer to the face, you walk, but sometimes you actually want to do it with the different lens. And the beauty is you can be filming on your iPhone in the same place. I mean, I like to move a little bit, but you make sure you know how to play with the different lenses, right? And it's okay if there's a water bottle in there, it's okay. So see how I'm zooming back and forth between these? And then while it's filming, you can click on the thing that you want to focus on. So I could click on Will's hair and it'll focus on that. I could click on Dan's face, it'll focus on that, right? And all the while I'm changing between the 4 different things that are on the iPhone, on the cameras, and I'm also taking pictures while I'm doing video. Does that make sense? It seems kind of complicated. I'm listening to what's going on, so I know when the end of that scene is, but all the while I'm taking pictures. So, you know, I probably spend half the time, no, I probably spend like 2/3 of the time in landscape and 1/3 of the time in portrait. And that allows me to capture these amazing moments. Here's another one that you typically will never see, but works super well. So now I'm capturing it on the TV that's behind, which is the view that the camera has, while I'm capturing the interviewer. Now, the best shot when you do this as a behind the scenes, listen to this, is when you maximize the amount of equipment you have. So kind of like the unwritten rule, and you can ask other people that are professional videographers, the more camera equipment you can have, the more cameras you can have, kind of the more powerful that is. Because it kind of shows that, like this, like a shot like this, except without all the cords, which I'll have in landscape. Vertical tends to show these other things. So if I know I definitely captured it because I'm always trying to capture these different moments. Okay, so when we have, this is an okay one. So this shows that there's a lot of equipment here, but the TV doesn't have his logo on it, which I should have done if we had it set up properly. So here we're showing lots of equipment, but it looks messy. The best ones are where you can show the camera. Like this is a good one, right? Here you can see that we're taking a picture of the picture. There's lighting and other sorts of equipment involved, right? So let me ask you, why would I'll ask Dan or anyone else who wants to answer, why would this be more authoritative than the actual video itself shot from the camera? Why would this be a better trigger, not trigger, a hook for a social media ad or something to put on a landing page than the actual video shot from a $6,000 camera itself? This, you saw, I took this from my iPhone. This was a still from this video. Look, this is a 3-minute video where I'm moving around to take these different, see? And as I'm taking the video, I'm changing the focus, sometimes on his face, sometimes on the camera, and I'm taking pictures as I am taking the video, right? By the way, notice that I'm not staying in the same place. I'm constantly moving. Why? Because when we use this for B-roll or voiceover, so let's say Dan is talking about something, right? And then we're showing this as this motion like this, right? As it goes into the camera, and you can see, pull back, come in. This, see, that's a great shot right there. Now that's focused on the camera right there. So Dan is out of focus. Then I zoom into him, or I move over to put him in the center, and then I tap on his face, and then it zooms into Dan, see? So why is that? Why does this drive more sales and more authority? So if you're a coach, speaker, author, whatever, why is B-roll shot from this more higher engagement and higher conversion than the stuff from the camera? I want to stop on this point, because if you don't get this point, then this whole time we're spending together is a waste. I want you to understand this thing. Why is this important? Because I want all of you guys to look good, and not just look good. I want you to do it in such a way that it drives more sales and engagement. Why is that? Dan, you were here. You should say something.
It puts it in context, right? I mean, it contextualizes. I was there in the studio. It was real. It was live. It's not newscaster, right? It's boots on the ground stuff.
Yeah. And then, what is the most important thing to be able to get people to watch your video? It's the hook in the first couple seconds. So when there's motion, so you see the camera come in, you see there's like, oh, what's going on here? That attracts attention. 2 is you see that clearly this guy must be important, because all these other people are around him, and there's cameras, and there's all this lighting and microphones. So sometimes I put the microphone in view where I want to create the appearance that this person's important, they're an MC or whatnot, versus I will hide it. There's a camera here just out of view. You can't see it, or not camera. There's a microphone here. It's right here. There's one right here. See? Sometimes you want, so people who have a podcast will often have all this gear in front of them. It's like this crazy thing that obscures their face and all that, because they want to show that they're a podcaster. And they found the biggest podcasting mic on the biggest stand they can, because they want to appear like, I'm a podcast host. I mean, yes and no, right? The accoutrements of all the equipment in the fancy studio say, hey, I'm very serious about podcasting. But B, it also can be, if you do only that, then it shows that you're not really a human or accessible. So the behind the scenes shots that I'm showing you are what shows, hey, this is the behind the scenes, is like, hey, this is what's really going on, right? This is not something that's just purely fabricated. This is very authentic. So look, we have all these different moments of Dan doing different things, and then I capture it from the sides. And the reason why I'm staying on these frames so long is that I'm actually taking pictures as the video is going. And look at some of these angles that I'm taking on these pictures. So notice when we pull out to 0.5, notice how that makes him smaller, but everything on the edges, you see on the sides, it gets distorted. When you have wide angle like 0.5, the edges get fisheyed out, right? So that makes Dan look skinnier, right? Makes his arm look nice and skinny, makes his face skinny. It looks great, right? Because he's in the center. So I intentionally took this in the center. By the way, on wide angle, always put the subject in the center. Why would you not want to put the subject on the side when you're doing wide angle? Because it makes them look fat. Now, This is done in 2x, I think. And it's natural. There's no stretching occurring on either sides. And now I put them in the thirds, right? So here's the center line here. And I put them kind of in the thirds. I mean, the thirds would kind of be like where his ear is. But see, like, you know how you want to put someone's face in the thirds? When you're taking videos or pictures, you always want to put them in the thirds, if it's landscape especially, because it's just more interesting. There's a whole, you can read the science behind the thirds and why you want to do it that way. And you'll see that these other angles that I'm taking, let's just look at some of these other angles just for fun so you can see. Like, I love angles like this. Why? Because it shows lots of gear. It shows many cameras. Remember, the rule of effective B-roll is like, how many cameras can you cram into the thing? So how many cameras do you spot here? It's like a Waldo thing, right? How many? Well, there's the main camera itself. There's the laptop. There's the cell phone here that's capturing from another angle. And there's my camera. And then there's other cameras which are out of view. And there's other microphones which are in and out of view, right? This just looks really cool. And then you might think this looks like some fancy kind of studio or whatever. This is a freaking apartment. Can you believe that? This is an apartment in Las Vegas. It's the one I'm sitting in right now. Okay, and then at night, it's easy to get the colors with the hue lights going. So these blues, look at how rich in blue the hue lights are on this, right? And you can, of course, use different apps to make it look nicer. I like to capture these other sorts of moments where you can tell it's candid. Maybe he made a mistake. Maybe he's coughing. Maybe, you know, whatever. There's something. And those just, when you use combinations of these, so if I take 5 or 6 of these and I boom, 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 use them while Dan is telling a story, that makes the audience feel like they're there with us, because it's behind the scenes. They don't feel like they're being sold to, because they're behind the camera with us instead of like looking at something that's clearly designed to be an ad, such as, you know, moments like this where Dan's telling a story and his socks are not on right or something like that, right? There's my tread pewter here. Here's all these vitamins that I like to take. If you want to see the vitamins, you can maybe even zoom in and see the ones that I like to take, right? Or you'll see, if you look really carefully, there's a Bible in the corner there, right? These subliminal sorts of things. This is another over-the-shoulder shot, right? Typically, when you're interviewing someone in a super professional environment, you have 3 cameras. You have a 2-shot, which shows both subjects. You have an over-the-shoulder on the first person and over-the-shoulder on the second person, right? But I can't get around over Dan's shoulder because I'd have to be standing on a 15-foot ladder to get behind this thing behind him, so I can't get there. And I don't want to interrupt the main camera. I'd have to get into the main camera if I went around between them. So I have a 180-degree arc, basically, I can take pictures and videos from while they're doing this interview. So you notice how I'm doing horizontal and vertical. I'm doing video the whole time, and then I'm taking pictures. Notice I am not taking pictures using photo or portrait mode. Why? Because I'm taking it from the video. I'm recording video the whole time, and I'm taking pictures as I'm doing the video. You guys see that? I'm not stopping to take pictures. It's video the whole time. And that's how it looks like. So we have, I think, 270 pictures and videos here, if you can believe that, from 2 whole days of shooting. But we actually got enough to produce a book, believe it or not, because all this video, by the way, I'm just showing you what's on my iPhone, not on what's Will's phone, not what's being captured from the main camera. You're not even seeing the main camera. This is just my iPhone. This gets run through Descript, which a VA can do, or you can do, it's not hard, to transcribe. And then we run it through ChatGPT to turn it into proper sentences, figure out headlines, put a structure against it, right? That's literally how you make the most of a session together, where the vibe. So the reason why I wanted Dan and Will to establish direct eye contact is that it's more conversational. So think about this. Dan's target is the high net worth Asian mom, basically. And she, you know, cynical or distrustful of just other people that are randomly, because rich people are like that, right? Wealthy people are like, yeah, these people are like, whatever, trying to sell me something. So when Dan is being interviewed and he's clearly talking to somebody who's, he's not looking into the camera, but he's talking to somebody, it creates an element of trust. Just like the two women that are sitting on the couch together and, Amy, are you feeling regular today? Yes, I am, because I use Tampax or whatever it is, right? You can, even though it's a commercial, like, oh, these two women are having a discussion, it must be like credible because them two are whatever. No, obviously it's for the camera, right? So when you have this interview situation, you get a more natural interview. And then Dan is such a natural storyteller that it works super well. So I find for most people, unless they are professional news anchor, professional speaker, it's actually better to interview them where you, if you're interviewing them, you sit next to the camera and you just have them look at you and you just talk through these different things and just roll continuously. Never stop the camera, never have this whole discussion before you start the camera, just roll continuously. Because the best stories occur when the camera is turned off, right? You guys will know that. If you've done enough podcasts, you'll know, like, oh, dang it. So when we hit stop, that's when you really had to just keep it rolling the whole time, okay? You'll thank me for that later. So that's what you do. Questions on that? I'm going to show a few other examples too after this, but I wanted to stop here. Hopefully that was a valuable kind of behind the scenes. What do you think? You ever seen anybody show you this is how you capture B-roll on an iPhone? And why the B-roll is more important than the main cam? I've tested this many times. This is not an opinion. I've tested running the B-roll versus running the fancy. I've done it on $60,000 cameras and I've done it on cheap iPhones. And it's not just because of the iPhone running and portrait, because when you run ads on social media, it needs to be portrait or square, right? Because people hold their cell phones vertically. That's not the reason. Yes, that increases the view through. Yes, that gives us more real estate, but that's not the main reason why. Do you guys see that? Yes, Kathy.
Yeah, I just got some fun equipment this morning in my Amazon box.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just getting started. So if you have any words of wisdom, I mean, it's all I got a microphone, a Movo microphone. It's got an extra light on it. I do have one of those circle lights, but I just have this with my phone. And I was going to start working on, I started at my personal Facebook versus the business one. And I've been trying to gather some content, so I would have some outlines and photos and that kind of thing of what to put out there in the world, and start driving a following.
Did you know there's 400 plus Kathy Ramoses?
That's me in the upper left.
This one?
It's been a few years, yeah.
I think you look glamorous. This is like pre-COVID, isn't it?
Yes, okay. It was pre-COVID, yeah.
All right. So we need to, what is this? Profit First Professionals. You got like a typo here.
There is a typo in there.
By the way, so when you see people, they're showing the company they work for, or they're an organization or school they're part of. You see this thing with the two rectangles as the logo versus the Upper Iowa University. Do you know why these two rectangles show up?
No, I do not.
Okay, this is true for everyone. I want you to watch for this. This is when you just listed Profit First Professionals and you didn't make an actual company to tag yourself to.
Oh.
I do. Yeah, this is something, and there's many reasons for that, not just to show the actual logo or icon, but if I do Mark Black and I look at his profile and I see the short and the gap, and the short and the gap is here. This actually goes to, and you can see, right, he's founder or CEO, short and the gap. This logo here, if I click on this goes to an actual company profile, short and the gap.
Okay.
So when you see that double rectangle, that means when someone listed their company, it's just a line here in their profile that doesn't link to an actual company. So if you have a company, you have to actually create a company page. Like here, this, Business Rockstars. If you mouse over it, you can see what it is. It goes to the Business Rockstars company page, right? So don't make that mistake, because that This also helps you rank better by having another entity. Now business rock stars can rank. Now elite student coach can actually rank.
So
right?
I just have to click on the page and then somehow.
I click on this.
How do I
If I
tag
click on
it?
top, look. So here, Kathy Ramos. Thanks for being the guinea pig. So when I click on Profit First Professionals, which is misspelled, when I click on it, watch what happens. Or when I mouse over it, notice it doesn't take me to another URL.
Right.
Because there's no company page. So if I click on this, all it does is it jumps me down to all these things that are, these are entries in your profile of places that you've worked, but these aren't company pages. So if you were a bookkeeper at St. Matthew's New Life Lutheran Church, I would actually find St. Matthew's, and then that would actually link to that entity, that organization, right?
Okay, so how do I do that? How do I tag it? How do I link it? I'm editing the info right now with Profit First.
You literally make one. So you can make a company page. From any company page, you can make another company page. So if you look at me.
Oh, so I just type in Profit First. They should have a thing here.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This Dennis Hughes ahead of me? What the heck? Okay.
So now I found them. So how do I tag them then?
If you're on a company.
So if you type in Profit First, which I did, I've got them in there.
So you want to create Profit First Professionals? How to create a company page?
There is a company page in there.
Okay. And then you didn't link to it. That's
what I'm asking. How do I do that? So I'm just a real newbie at this. So
yeah, so on LinkedIn, you have your profile. Okay, let's start with what's going on LinkedIn. So here, this is your profile, right? My profile. And here I have experience. So I have my show. I have other places that I've done stuff with. I was at the London School of Economics a long time ago. And let's say that I want to show that I worked at another place. So I hit the plus to add that. So now I'm working at, whatever. And then the company name, what company name am I? Elite Student Coach. There it is. So the company.
It should pop up now. Okay.
Yeah, if you create the company. But if you just type in, let's say I wanted to compete with Dan and I created Elite Student Coaches. There's no such thing as an Elite Student Coaches. So it shows the double rectangle, right? But instead of just doing this, I need to actually create the company page, and then it shows up in the drop down, and then I show that I'm the founder or whatever position I have, or I'm the head coach.
Oh,
okay.
Cool. I'm seeing it. Yeah. So I just hit to.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you have a podcast, you need to create a company here for your podcast. So, if I'm Will Troop and I started Troop Media, then he's the one who interviewed Dan. He hasn't even done it, has he? Will Troop Media. Well, we're not even connected yet. By the way, I'd like to have the profile background be a color other than blue. I like orange, yellow, red, and other kinds of colors like that. Why is that? Why would you want to have your background, your profile background color be like yellow, red, or orange if you can?
It's exciting.
It's exciting, but also, what color is LinkedIn?
It's blue.
And we want the opposite color, don't we? So if we're running ads on LinkedIn or Facebook, like Facebook, what color is Facebook?
Blue.
What's the same color of Facebook?
Blue.
Blue, yeah. So if I want to stand out in my ads, what color should I use?
Orange.
Yeah, a different color. So there's oranges that are here. There's oranges that are here. So Dan made a great post here. He tagged us. When you interview other people or you're with other people, you want to tag them, not like ridiculously, parasitic tagging of like 50 people at the same time, but that encourages other people to engage on it, right? And here's another one, right? So Dan tagged me. You can see here you have the post visibility for just friends. So unless it's something like super personal, I would have this by default, everything open.
I thought I had changed that. Let me go back in and change.
No, your default is still that, because all of your posts are. I know maybe you did just change it. Yeah, you can go back to your. Yeah, now it's public.
It is public now, right? Yeah, no, I did. I changed everything last night. Is it? It's coming up as public now, right?
Yeah, it is. But you want to go back to these earlier posts and still change them to public as well.
Ah,
So
okay.
your default is public. Yeah, and then you can see that you know how I grow my business? This has worked for me for 30 years, and I don't think other people even understand this. This is so simple. Listen, if you look at my posts, they're all just honoring other people. All I do is honor other people. Like here, so proud of Dan and Will Troop. Am I even in these pictures here? I'm not even in these pictures. And what does that cause? It causes all these other people to congratulate. Chris Cawley says, this is awesome, right? Chris Cawley does books. Dan commented. All these other people are, Leanna Lang, who runs a big online marketing group, right? All these other people are engaging on it. So literally, when you honor other people, like here, let's go to my Twitter. Let's go to my notifications. I take that B-roll and I use it to honor other people. And somebody said, amazing camera work. Awesome, right? Alex Berman is commenting on my stuff. He's the cold email guy. He just sold his last SaaS company for a lot of money. And let's see. If we look at my profile, I'm saying the exact opposite of what everyone else is saying. So why I'm not an influencer, right? So I'm honoring other folks. The Blitzmetrics is tagging me. You know, I'm honoring Mark Horvath. He has a homeless charity, right? I'm getting engagement by saying, do you like red, orange or blue or whatever, right? So you can see that most of these posts, see now, the edification I get is when other companies and other people edify me. See, so Social Champ is a social media tool. They're powerful SEO and whatnot, right? I'm edifying other people. Look, there's Danny and Ken. Ken is 71 and Danny is 19. I'm edifying them, right? So all I'm doing is just edifying other, congratulations to Danny, who did his very first speech, which was scary because it's a keynote speech in Boston, and Larry Kim was there and these other people are there, right? So these posts are all, and so the posts that edify me are from other people, see? So Bob Cargill, who runs the American Marketing Association out of Boston, he's the one who said, your reputation is based on what other people have to say about you, right? So I'm letting him talk about me. And I'm talking about Bob. So Bob gave a speech, and I said, here's some things that I learned from Bob. Here's another thing that I learned from Bob. I'm capturing the B-roll in the way that I just told you, right? There's Bob, right? Then I'm showing, actually, let's see if I can play this. I think he's honoring Danny, who just spoke beforehand. Look at this.
The gas station.
Watch this.
And he was as friendly as he is.
Hang on a minute. The Zoom thing is in the way. Okay. Let's go to look at what happened here. So Danny gave a speech on, we're still talking about capturing B-roll, capturing these moments to build your authority, podcast host, use it to build your brand. So Danny just gave a speech in Boston on how do you write headlines and copy on Twitter, and how he's gotten some crazy, his reach is bigger than mine on Twitter, even though I have 10 times his followers. And then Danny's showing his techniques, which is to honor other people, right? Okay, so, and then Bob is up next, and here's what Bob says.
Back in the day, see, the benefits of being an older guy, Danny, I've seen everything, almost. I'm joking, but you talk about wealthy individuals and meeting them. I did meet Elliot once at the gas station.
So he gave a shout out to Danny like 10 times in his speech, which I thought was amazing, which then gets other people to engage. So it shows, look, see, other people are talking about me. I send out socks with your face on them, and then he's talking about me. I'm getting other people to talk about me. So Danny is talking about me. 2 a.m. guru mode, right? This is where I like the blue and purple light in the background, right? So you can see, oh, look at this. You see this? So I made a post here. I said, hey, you should use $1 a day to get more exposure on your top articles. And do you see the picture that shows up here? This icon, logo, whatever, Blitzmetrics with the picture? Versus when I share something else, it will have like nothing. You know why this shows an image?
No.
You need to have open graph tags enabled. Put something into the chat so I can show you. Ascent Beauty, says Charity. Okay, cool. Let's do Ascent Beauty. Can't I type though? Can't I paste that? I'll type it in. ascentbeauty.com. All right. Here's this girl. You can see that's being filmed on a ring light, because if you look at our pupils, you can see the circle. That's a ring light. It makes people look more glamorous. This looks like B-roll, but who knows? Or whatever, stock art. Okay. So there's all these pictures, videos. This is probably what, Shopify? Wow, you got a lot of plugins here. Yeah, it is. Okay. Wow. You really want to go multilingual. Do you really have an international audience like that? Okay. Wow, you got all the socials, as I would expect. All right. No SEO on it, though. Got to get some stuff going. Oh, you rank on 218 keywords. Let's see. What do you rank on? Curved lash bed topper. Oh, this is a new site, is it? Charity. Look, these are all new. Yeah. Okay. So now you lash bed mattress topper. Lash bed, brow tint, 15 millimeter eyelashes. I don't even know what that is, but okay. Sure. I guess 20 millimeter eyelashes are better than 15 millimeter eyelashes. Okay. Like bigger, thicker. Maybelline. Nobody says they love you like Maybelline. Or what? I don't know how it goes. I have no idea what anything. Luxury lash beds. All right. Wow. This is great. Thicker. Yeah. All right. So if I wanted to say, because I don't know anything about this. Like if I'm posting about women's eyelashes, that would look weird, wouldn't it? Even in today's day and age where you can be whatever you want. Let's see. If I were to do this post, if I did it, I'll just show you on Facebook. It doesn't matter. Every single social network. This is like one thing I'm going to show you. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So if I made a post on, I know nothing about luxury eyelashes, but my friend Charity does. And then I paste that URL. Okay. Now you see that? You see how it's come up with an image?
Nice.
This is an open graph image. So her site, because she's got all these plugins, one of them allows automatically includes this image. Now, if I included that other one that we were looking at, not Ascent Beauty, what was the site we were looking at? I got too many URLs open. There's Kathy, IBC Business Solutions. Understanding your, okay. Pop-up, okay. Understanding your business financial statements. Okay, cool. So if I did this one, it showed this.
It worked.
What's that?
It worked.
It worked. Okay, it works. But is this the one you want to show up?
Understanding your financial. Well, that's just one of the blogs that I just grabbed the blog off my website.
If I go to Q Promote and I promote this article, which I will burn a credit just for you, Kathy.
Wow, thank you.
So let's see. Understanding. So who are we serving here?
Plumbing, heating, and cooling contractors are my niche.
Okay, so home services.
Home services.
So home services, and isn't it crazy? I know all the categories.
You do, yeah. I always try to find them, and it's like half the time I don't find exactly what I'm looking for.
Oh, okay. So it went through. So this promotion went through.
Thanks. So what is it you said you burned a credit? Is this one of your you're talking about the people we're supposed to be going through the
This is something I'm just going to do for all you guys where I'm spending a lot of money, so you don't have to spend any money to promote your top articles. So if we look at these hundreds of articles that I've been promoting, here's the one that we just promoted. Let's go for, it basically runs for 90 days. It goes through Buffer. Buffer is the world's largest social sharing tool. So these things are being pushed into Buffer queues where people are doing curation. So if people have subscribed. They're using the buffer tool, and they don't have much content themselves on digital marketing, but they want to just post stuff. Then Buffer will suggest inside their tool, here's some things on digital marketing. And so 2,300 people have shared this article in the last 90 days. And I've gotten 7 clicks.
Nice.
On Facebook ads. So I've taken my highest authority content here, TikTok ad secret, or when I'm speaking. So look here, how Blitzmetrics uses Zapier in their marketing workflows. Okay. So you guys know what Zapier is, right? Zapier is a tool for non-programmers to send data from one tool to another. So you can see, like here, it shows all the examples of all these zaps that I've done. Here's the zaps, you know, here's how I pass data from Infusionsoft to WordPress, or how I automatically tweet things based on whatever, right? Basecamp, and I got zaps to do this. Now, to make this more authoritative, like what I was showing you earlier, I'm grabbing B-roll from other things. So I'm not talking about Zapier when I'm at this conference giving a keynote. So when you have these kinds of photos and videos, and you're interviewing people and you're speaking on stages, like I was the one who captured the B-roll of Danny speaking on stage from behind the stage. By the way, if you have just these shots where it's him on stage, you don't get a sense of where the people are. So you have to get some shots from the back so you can see all the people, you know, there's all these people. You have to get shots where you're standing behind him, where you can, you know, kind of see that there's people in the audience here, right? You have to show these different angles. You're never going to get that at the conference. So I'm capturing all this B-roll. And here he's telling a story. I'm capturing that B-roll, right? He's also explaining how the 4-stage content factory works. I'm going to use this as B-roll in an article, right? He's literally explaining to all these people in Boston the 4-stage content factory, which is what we're implementing for Dan, right? This B-roll can now be used in any article that I ever want. Like here's a thing saying how I like to use Zapier. And so now I've got all these other things that are high authority. You know, I can show, I probably wouldn't show like the picture of, you know, us and Dave and Merriman having Asian food together. That probably doesn't tie with Zapier, but I can show other things that are high authority. So the main thing I'm going to leave you with, I don't want to talk forever, is show you that when you are capturing these B-roll moments, these are some cool spots, you know, like this behind the scenes where you're showing that there's a camera, you're showing there's a lightweight moment. So clearly they're laughing about something, right? This is great to reuse in social media posts. If you set up your articles properly with the open graph tags, like I was showing you here, those then are the ones that show up versus, I'm going to guess that some of this stuff is maybe stock art, right? So instead of stock art, maybe it's real or not. I mean, beauty, it's hard to tell. I'm going to guess it's the stock art, but who knows, right? The B-roll outperforms everything else that you would have. So when you use it in your social, like let's see like this one wasn't done properly because it doesn't show that image, right? Because he doesn't have his open graph tag set up properly, which I'll fix for him, right? Here, this one worked. So I shared this article, Why I'm Not an Influencer. And it shows the image that I've set for that, right? Here, I'll just prove it to you again. I'll grab the article and I'll share it on. So Dan, name any social network. I'll show you how it's true. Anyone. It's like a magician. Pick a card, any card. I won't force you.
I was going to say MySpace, but I'm going to say Facebook.
Facebook. If I go back to Facebook and I'll say the main reason, hopefully you guys are getting some insight on how to make posts that actually hit, that don't sound douchey. The main reason why I am not an influencer is because I let my friends do the talking for me. Okay, and I paste that thing here, and that image shows up. So any blog post you make, any article, any web page on your website must have an image, and it must have OG tags associated with. If you're using WordPress, you'll be like 90% of the way there already. Because then when any of your URLs are shared on social, it will show an image. Isn't this way better? Thank you, Mark Lack, for showing me how over the years. Okay, And then I'll use an emoji and I'll say like, I'm grateful or happy. I'm grateful. There. Okay. A lot of people say, oh, you should only post once per day because, the algorithm gets tired or whatever. Maybe on Facebook and LinkedIn, but on Twitter and TikTok, you can post 50 times per minute if you want. Just don't spam it, right? But you can see I pasted the URL and it automatically showed the image, the one that I chose for this article. Every article, every web page you have must have an image. Otherwise, the sharing is going to look like this ugly thing that I just showed you where it doesn't have an image. Wouldn't you rather have the thing show with an image like it does here? So have lots of B-roll, like all this B-roll we have here, right? So I can take this photo, I can download it, and it gives it this ugly name, image 2262, and I'll just say something that's hopefully clever. I hate being on camera. That's why I have, I am behind the camera. Credit to Will Troop and Danny podcast. Okay. And then I'll just upload this picture. If I put a URL, if I had a URL that had that picture, it would pull that URL in it, right? But this was IMG 2262. Come on. .jpg. It'll be under downloads, won't it? Oh, maybe it's capitalized. IMG 2262. That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. See? Live creating content. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Right. And look, you can see people are already starting to engage. Clinton Senkow, who's the founder of Influences. How nice is that? Oh, geez. See, look, see the missed opportunity here? So I said, hey, I love, Mark of Shorten the Gap. And I posted this and there's no picture here. So if you want people to share your website, if you want your SEO to increase, don't you think it would help if whenever that URL was shared on any page on your website, it would show a picture? Don't you think that would be better? Now you know why, right? Isn't that crazy? Did anyone ever tell you that? No one told me that. Do you see like when you film a long form piece of video, that is when you have the opportunity to collect lots and lots and lots of pieces of content. Whether you're talking, someone else is talking, like here, that's the ultimate, because you'll never, like a lot of people, they just go to ChatGPT and have it write all kinds of stuff. No. Start with long form video, chop it up into different pieces, and then have ChatGPT come in and turn each of those snippets into an article, turn it into something else, right? Today, I wanted to show you behind the scenes when you're filming with someone who is well known. I'm going to show you this one other thing real quick too. And I'll end with that. Talking out my butt. Best-selling book in social media on Amazon. Perry Marshall's name, that's why I'm the co-author. I wrote the book, we put his name on it because he's the super famous one. And this is all interviews in the same way I just told you about. Interviews with the top people on TikTok, right? These are the people who know what they're doing. TikTok gave me people to talk to, put TikTok colors on it. We created this book and the method that I just told you, capturing all this B-roll, which allows us to recycle content in hundreds of different pieces, turn into a book, turn into snippets, turn into a course. We've made 6 figures selling a course on TikTok ads, okay? And there's a lot of people trying to sell you on how to do TikTok this and TikTok that, okay? Using the techniques I just showed you. My friend Sam Tejada, this book has, I actually did the interviews. I interviewed all the top CEOs in modern healthcare on stem cells, on IV treatment, on vitamin C, on exosomes, on HRT, on all, on how to interpret your blood work, all this stuff here. Interviewed all these CEOs, some in person, because I'd love to fly out and meet them, and some via Zoom. I really wanted to meet the original shark who started, did you know Kevin Harrington started the first TV infomercial? So I interviewed him. He's got a chapter in this book too. because he's into modern wellness, because he's older than all of us, but doesn't look like he's that old. I guess he's like Dick Clark of these people where they somehow just don't age on TV. But this book was made via the techniques that I just showed you. We captured all this B-roll. And when you capture all this B-roll, that B-roll shot as video first, taking pictures along the way, allows, let me just show you one last thing, and then I'm going to go run the Sky Zone and go dunk on all these kids. Let me show you this, to show you this is not like, I'm not giving you like a bunch of like, opinions, okay? All right, look. So here, this guy in the middle wearing the black is Yadek Tadla. He's a billionaire real estate developer. He's got thousands of properties, 2 jets, mansions all over the place. We're at his house in Miami. His next door neighbor is Patrick Bet David. Really cool. They both have boats, you can imagine. Parked right out behind the place. And we literally recorded. So he had a podcast studio that some dude flew out and set up this whole nice studio. You can imagine when the dude's a billionaire, they can have everything they want, right? I looked at that piece. So we walked in, he brought his professional camera people in and said, okay, Dennis, today's your day. We're going to do what you want to do, how you want to capture it, because we're writing his book, right? And I said, okay. And I saw his podcast studio and I said, no. I mean, that's great. I love it. Love the gear, love how everything's set up. It looks very professional, but it's not going to work. What instead I want to do is, look, it looks like we just had some lunch catered. Let's sit down and let's start having some discussions over lunch. Let's go outside at the boat. Let's talk in front of the pool. Let's talk upstairs. Let's go to the game room. Let's go to where you have all your trophies and your chess things and just have all these different scenes. Now, look, this, where is it? Notice I'm taking pictures as I am taking the video. And I probably have 6 hours of video. You can see here, we have all these different moments, hours and hours of footage, but we've also captured these moments, including behind the scenes, where we have 3 or 4 other people that are holding cameras and whatnot. And we're showing the lights, right? We're showing these kinds of moments as each of them are. Now, we're double and triple mic'd here, if you can see here, right? You can see that we have a Pico Gear mic and a DJI mic. By the way, when you're filming people that are like celebrities or ultra high net worth, you always want to double mic them, because that way you just have backup audio. You just never know when you lose the audio, right? But this is the exact same technique that I just showed you that Dan and I went through. And all it takes is one person who, look, he's got his children running around in the background, right? Why the heck is Corey bending down? Did he drop something? What the heck's going on here? Who knows? But you see how easy it is? You're seeing stuff on my iPhone. Now we have other cameras involved, but they're not even, I'm even capturing behind the scenes as where, we're driving to his house or we're having food or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Look, there's my boarding passes on Southwest. I love taking portrait mode pictures in landscape of people because it makes it look just way fancier when you blur the background. Portrait mode blurs the background. And then Danny took this and he put it on Twitter. And look what happened to that one tweet. You can see he's basically using the content. Look, he's edifying me, all right? And then if we go back, he said, Dennis Hubie, I worked with the billionaire yesterday. Dennis Hubie is my mentor. And here's all these crazy things that I learned, right? Broetry. Broetry is one-line sentences, constant hooks, open and closing loops. And then this thing takes off just from that one photo, see? And the other thing, last thing I'll mention, is these photos or whatever, they're all shareable. So I can take this entire, you can imagine that there's hundreds of these different things here. So I can take all the things from this day and I can click share. And now it's created a link and I can share all of those files instantly with the VAs. I can share anything that's tagged as here. Just the last thing I'll just show you. I know there's like a ton of stuff we've covered, but look, we tagged Dan Hewlin, right? See, these are all these Dan Hewlin things. There's hundreds of these, okay? Now, what kind of pain in the butt would it be to take each one of these and upload it to a folder and go, like no one has time for that, right? Now I got everything tagged with Dan Hewlin everywhere, even in Chicago, and I click on all those, see? Right, click on them and click on them and click on them. click on them. And now I've got 253 items. Actually, I missed these ones here. Okay, whatever. Okay, so I have 260 items, okay? Share this. These 262 items are now a link I can send to anybody that's on Google. And I can also create a link, and anyone who has this link can now see all these items. So I don't have to upload, download all this other nonsense. I just need to make sure every day when I get back to the hotel or I get home that my phone is connected to the Wi-Fi, so it just can basically, you know, upload everything that I've ever gotten. So I literally have some ridiculous amount of content. And I never have to worry about uploading, downloading, labeling. I never have to say, oh, this is one of Dan, or this, because the AI is automatically, identified that this is Dan Euland. Do you see how much time this saves? Because when you're collecting lots and lots of this B-roll, you don't have to mess around with like tagging, this is Will Troop, and this is Dan, and this is Perry Marshall. And like, I don't have time for that. I'm off to the next thing. I don't, but I still want content being made. So the beauty of the content factory is when you systematically collect this content, or someone else is collecting it in the way I told you how we're shooting it, you never have to touch it. It's automatically going to the other team members. Dan, I'll give you the last word if no one else wants to say anything.
I'll take the last word. This was awesome. I've been noodling and trying to do this the right way for the last decade, and can never get it right. And in the weekend we got I'm looking forward to many more weekends, but we got 8 hours of video, 9 hours of video, thousands of photos, great memories. That was just in 3 days. Yeah.
And now we have enough to be able to create a book. So even after the fact, we don't even have a title for the book yet. But because we have so many different stories that we can repurpose in so many different ways, we can create a book after the fact, after collecting all this raw content.
Right.
And articles and videos and ads and landing pages and all those things.
And more importantly, it also helped me clarify my thinking about my business as I went through this process. Yeah. That's the other thing. It brought greater clarity to me as the entrepreneur going through the process.
Yeah. And it's not just like, okay, let's just turn on the camera like reality TV and just talk randomly. No, in advance, we already knew what the main topics were with the topic wheel. And we knew where the intersections were. We knew where Dan created the most value, the X, Y, Z. I help X achieve Y via Z, right? I help children of high net worth Asian families get into the schools of their dreams, but also be successful via my 3 pillars, right? Like, oh, okay. Now, and that organizes kind of all our content can now fit into that framework. Yeah. Okay.
So how do you choose who you're going to work with? Do you have a criteria or just...
Yeah. The rule is very simple. The idea of amplification, which is everything that I teach, everything that I've ever done, it's not magic. It's simply, I'm a math guy, okay? Take something that's working really well already, not because they say so, but because provably it's there and we can amplify it. It's not about new ideas or coming up with a strategy or being innovative or like using new technology. It's, I took on the Golden State Warriors and we ran their ads for 5.5 years. Why? Because we had a clear signal, data, proving sales were occurring. We had everything tracked properly and we could drive more sales. Or, it could be anything like Lane Bryant selling bras for plus size women. We clearly had the data from the point of sale. We had marketing campaigns where we could see what people were buying and who they were and all the audiences. And when Lane Bryant came to me and said, hey, can you sell more women's bras? I'm like, do you have the data? Do you have the goals, content, and targeting? Can you give us what we need, the necessary ingredients for me as the master chef to do the thing if you bring the ingredients? Yes, I can. So there needs to be a sufficient signal. If that signal is there, then digital marketing is not magic. Digital marketing is kind of paint by the numbers. Any client I've ever worked with, it doesn't matter if they're a chiropractor or they're a coach or they sell lashes or whatever it is. Like if I can see that there are a couple hundred sales that are coming through every month and there's enough data for the pixel and the system to be able to learn, then it's just a matter of getting more content that's taking existing winning content and making variations of that, taking the same winning campaigns that have worked on Facebook or Google and then copying it to YouTube, copying it to TikTok, taking the same, like literally if it's working on Facebook, I can get it to work on TikTok, right? If it's working on Google, I can get it to work on Bing. If it's working as images, I can find video variations of it, right? It's amplifying, getting more out of what's already working. And that's been the rule that I've been teaching thousands of agencies. Because they'll say, how do I know what the right niche is, or whether this client's going to work out or not? Well, as much as we love to see people start new businesses and have new ideas, and we have training on all that, right? Which I made free, because I don't want to take $1 from them, because then the minute you pay them, they pay you $1, now they feel like they own you. So just make it all free. But people who have achieved a certain level of success, like this guy who's, built this huge real estate business, we can grow his real estate business because we have the existing signal to be able to get more of the same thing. What's a franchise? If, Sam has 33 locations of his franchise already, I know we can take it to 100 because we know what's working and the formula to be able to repeat, right? That's all digital marketing is. And if you publish and you know that there are these checklists associated with that, then it's just a matter of hiring VAs and making sure you have someone in charge of that execution. There's no magic. You don't even need me. Like, go to ChatGPT. It can answer questions better than I can, right? It knows everything I've ever said, thousands of articles and videos. It's read every one of them. It's watched every video, right? It knows all about it, right?